Today is Wednesday, and now that I'm on a path to launch off into the deep end of the pool to make trades, I'm discovering the single word called consistency. And I was making popcorn at the kitchen here at Regis, and it occurred to me that there's a thing called a speed trap. Speed trap. Now, speed trap works by having a law enforcement parked in the region where significant population tends to exceed the speed limit. Because structurally speaking, it is an area where the mindset shifts that allows the individual to speed in that area beyond what the posted speed limit is because of the interaction with that particular area. For instance, one example is the confluence that creates that situation is getting off the highway, and the area where the exchange occurs is short, meaning that the speed at which I was traveling exceeds a normal slowdown in a manner to match the next step of the speed. At which point, not being able to pay attention closely to what the posted limit is allows an individual to exceed it beyond the legal speed limit. And therefore, that is a perfect situation where a ticket can be written for out of the ordinary situations of most people. In normal traveling situations, the speeds differentiation between one area to the other area is in line with the previous speed, which means that in one area it's 35, and when I transition to another area, it's also 35. And in certain areas where schools are located, it's 25, and therefore the transition from one area to the other area is gradual and slow. But when an abrupt change occurs between a highway speed to a local speed to about 35 miles an hour, there is a period in which the mind has to make a decision to see and then execute that new speed limit. And that is why it's called a speed trap. And many, statistically speaking, will fall into the speed trap area where the individual has a disadvantage if the person has been on a road for a very long time, because the mind tends to be slow but still be able to operate a vehicle in a safe way, but not be able to it's like a deer just running in front of the car. It's hard to react to it. It's like a slow motion kind of thing. So that is one instance where it is a reliable and predictable area where specific events occur. In day trading, that's called consistency. When certain things collide to create a certain statistically probable situation to occur, that is called consistency. It's consistent. That's why law enforcement sits there waiting for these events to occur to write a ticket. It happens all the time. It happens quite a bit. So when I go to work as a dishwasher, we have these plastic little trays, and plastic containers that contain food. They look very cheap, but they are washed and used over and over again. For many people who don't realize this, they think it's part of the paper wrapping and they toss it in the trash can. So what I have to do is predictable, it's consistent. And so every time I empty the trash, I dig through it, and at a minimum, I find at least 2 to 3 of them every time I empty it. In the patio area, there are quite a few, because there isn't a little sign that sits next to the trash can that says, hey, this is not a throwaway. This is not a disposable. It is used over and over again. So that is called consistency. Now, how do I take advantage of that in a specific manner? I was on Amazon and I saw this book, and it talks about a saucer pattern. Now, saucer pattern is essentially the core of how things transition from a slow lane to the fast lane, inverse to the speed trap. Now, what happens is there is a consolidation that is taking place, which causes it creates a base from which a transition occurs, either in a abrupt manner, or to the upside or to the downside. And when that happens, for example, it creates a saucer pattern where on the right side, looking at a long position, a spike occurs with an extraordinary sized candle. That is a consistent setup that says to me that when that particular setup occurs, most likely on a consistent basis, it's going to launch upwards, allowing me to take advantage of that transition that occurs from a slow lane to the fast lane. That is consistency.